I just hope last week for you all was as good as my last week. Obviously, as we continue this podcast, we continue this growth opportunity to discuss mental health, to, to raise awareness about mental health and mental struggles. I hope this continues to help you all as much as it's helping me. This episode is episode 6 of Mental Check Mondays, and this episode will be about complaining or us stop complaining, or we should stop complaining, or just in general, just the complaining that goes on in our life from, like I said last week. One of the biggest issues that we struggle with is that in something inside of us wants a better life, and because of that, different things earn from it, different things are created, branches are created from it, and it grows leaves, it sprouts um, hatred, doubt, unbelief. And how we combat that is talking about it. How we combat that is speaking on it, releasing it into the atmosphere, not allowing it to overcome us or overwhelm us. And so I think the number one thing we have to do to combat depression, uh, to combat uh, any loneliness and any doubt, any unbelief, is we have to stop complaining. We have to make the best of what our current situation is. No matter what, life is tough. I've said that before. Life will be tough. Something's going to happen. Life is going to happen. I always say, and I'll continue to say, you can't eliminate distractions. That's not possible. Something in life is going to happen. No matter what you think it is, no matter where it comes from, something in life is going to happen. Let me stop myself and kind of backtrack and say, our affirmations, say our words of encouragement. You're loved, you're appreciated, you matter, your life matters. Don't underestimate the ripple you'll create if you're not here. If you decide to check out of here, never underestimate who's going to miss you, who you matter to. It could be the bus driver that you go to work with every day. Um, it could be the neighbor that you wave to as you leave your house. It could be the Uber driver that picks you up. Like, you matter. Your existence matters to someone. The conversations you have with people that you don't even know matters. It's important to them because you're helping them. And so you're loved. I love you. I believe in you. This world needs you. And if you can just understand that important fact that this world cannot exist if you're not in it, it will not rotate the same way. You matter to us. And so, because of that, that's why I launched this series. That's why I launched these episodes, this podcast, because I wanted everyone in the world to know that they matter, including myself. Like, I go through things too. I'm not gonna sit here and say I live a perfect life. I don't. I struggle also. I never give words power, so you'll never hear me say I struggle with depression. But depression is real. Anxiety is real. Like, these things, loneliness is real. Like, these things they exist. And so I never want to minimize how you feel. I just want to encourage you that you can grow through it. Everything you're going through, you will grow through. It's happening for a reason. It has a purpose because it's preparing you for what's next. So while you might think this is the end, while you might think this is too much, while you might think it's overwhelming, life is preparing you for your growth, for your development, for your next step. And so you need to keep going. Keep pressing toward the mark because there's more for you. It starts, though, when you minimize your complaining. when you grab life by the horns. Like, what you're going through is tough. What you're going through is I never want to say it's not fair. Life isn't fair. So we understand that already. We know that already. So why complain? It's not going to make the situation better. Um, I always ask people, what you're going through, who do you want to give it to? The sickness, the depression, the loneliness, the anger, the lack of love. Who do you want to give that to? Just, whatever room you're in, point someone out and ask God to give them your struggles, your issues, because it's too much for you or you can't bear it. I'll tell you this: you can. You're built for it. It's specifically designed for you. That means you can overcome it. You're never going to deal with anything that you can't overcome. It's just here to grow you. Your foundation is there. Your beliefs are there. You just have to go through this right now to get on the other side. Like a lot of our struggles and a lot of the things we deal with, the reason we complain is we're conditioned to give up. We're conditioned to drop classes. We're not conditioned to see it to the end. We're not conditioned to fail all the way until the end of the semester. When the professors are human and the professor sees you fighting and working and say, you know what, I'm gonna give a grade curve. We don't even allow life to happen on the good side. Like we just give up. We just drop the class and pick up another class. That's how we're conditioned. That's how life is conditioned now. If it don't work, quit. Start something else. That's not true. Because if you keep quitting, you're never gonna finish anything. That's the truth. Like you're how do you grow if you never finish something? Like you can fail. It's okay to fail because you're gonna learn from it. Now you know what not to do for the next time. But if you quit every time, where's the lesson? You're just running away from everything. And what's gonna happen? You're gonna look up 10 years from now. You're gonna wonder where your life went. Because you quit. You're in the same situation. Your feet in the same position for 10 years. It's quicksand. You're not moving. You're not going nowhere. You're just struggling. And you're struggling because you're fighting against the waves. You're fighting against life. When you could just put one foot in front of the other and just keep moving. Something's gonna happen. You're gonna run into something. Something influential will happen in your life if you keep moving. Keep pressing toward the mark. That's it. Stop complaining. Stop wondering what could be, or stop thinking it shouldn't be you. Who should it be? Like that's the question. Who do you want this to happen to? The reason it's happening to you is because it's meant for you, specifically designed for you, meaning that your body, your mind, your spirit can get through it. Nothing just happens to happen. You don't just trip walking. It's because you're not paying attention. Like you don't just randomly trip. If you pay attention where you're going, you're not gonna trip. That's it. If you focus on what you're doing, you won't just fail. Like it's a lesson. I don't look at anything as failure. It's a lesson. It came to teach me something, to prepare me for what's next. Because I'm going back into battle. Someone told me, you're either coming out of a storm or you're going into a storm. Be prepared. Some carry umbrellas. I'm more of a raincoat type of guy because I want to weather the storm. I'm gonna keep moving my feet. I'm gonna weather the storm. I'm not an umbrella guy because I think the wind can destroy it. So I'm gonna wear a raincoat that's attached to me that I can cling to during tough times, during windy weather, during rainy weather. The umbrella it might falter, it might not work. Then what? That's just how I look at it. But like you either going through it, you either leaving a storm or you're going through one. Be prepared. Preparation matters. It's how we improve. It's how we grow. We prepare for it. Nothing should shock you. Nothing should catch you off guard. Like things are gonna happen. Like things are gonna happen that you don't know are gonna happen. But you condition yourself to the things that you're going through because it's preparing you for what's going to happen. So therefore, it won't shock you. Like I said last time, work on yourself more than you work on your job. If you put 8 hours in your job, put 8 or 9 into yourself. Because what happens is if they fire you, if you get laid off, if the economy stops your job for whatever reason, if the only thing you know how to do is your job, you're useless. They'll replace you and teach someone else. Whereas if you're pouring into yourself, you're developing yourself. When you walk away, when you quit, when if they fire you, if the economy goes bad, you still can thrive because you put more time in yourself. You've invested in you. Don't invest in your job more than you invest in yourself. I think that's problematic. I think that sets you up for a downfall. Because all you know is your job. Your job is not going to be here forever. You were not created for your job. And so you'll never hear me say survive. I believe in thriving. You thrive. How do you thrive? Through preparation. And so that's it's I'll go back to something my grandmother, you always hear me talk about my grandmother. She was my pastor for 30 plus years. Um, Amazing woman, strong woman. She used to always tell me either you pass the test or you take it over. That's it. Like it's the same as you either leaving a storm or going to one. Like you either pass, like everything you're doing, everything you're going through is a test. So either you're gonna pass it or you're gonna keep taking it. It might not be in the same situation, it might not be the same job, it might not be the same uh, significant other, but you're going to keep taking this test until you pass it. And then once you take this test, listen, you can rejoice, pat yourself on the back, you can have your moment, but there's another test coming because that's life. Life is trying to knock you off of your pivot, but like you can't do that. You can't allow it. You gotta keep your dribble, gotta keep your pivot because you gotta. Sometimes you gotta spin. Sometimes you gotta fade away. So like you gotta make the shot. At the end of the day, you gotta make the shot. And life is trying to stop you from making the shot. Life is actually trying to stop you from getting the shot up. Because if you never take the shot, you'll never make it. You miss 100% of the shots you never take, and that's life. But we fall victim to our circumstances, and we start to fall down this hole because we complain. We make it worse. The situation happened. Learn from it. Grow from it. Mature from it. Don't complain. Complaining is it doesn't do anything for you. The children of Israel stayed for 40 years because they complained. That was it. They murmured. They complained. Even though God blessed them tremendously, He made a way for them every time. Anything they asked for, anything they went to Moses for, and he went to God, like it happened. But because it wasn't enough, they complained. They thought they needed more. They thought they should have more. Instead of waiting, instead of being patient, instead of working while they wait, instead of building while they wait, they complain. This isn't good enough. We should be doing this. They even went as far as saying we should have just stayed with Pharaoh. Like imagine complaining so much that you would rather go back into bondage and captivity just so you can eat a steak. Like life was good when we were captive. At least we had good food. Like what? Think about that. Think about what you say when you complain. I'm gonna go back to this relationship, even though they didn't treat me right. But at least they I felt like they cared about me. That's not how it goes. I'm gonna go back to this job because they paid me more, but they mistreated me and they didn't value me, but they paid me more. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. That's how you create depressive states. That's how you create anxiety. That's how you create overwhelming situations, because you complain about your current state, and it's not as bad as you think it is. There are people praying for your worst day. There are people in this world that wish they had your worst day. They wish they had your problems, because theirs are way worse. They don't even get half of what you get. But we complain. I've fell victim to that. I've complained. I complain sometime now. I've learned to weather the storm. I've learned to just enjoy the moment, because a lot of things are going your way that you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes. You only see what's in front of you. You don't see what God is doing for you behind the scenes. You don't see what is being worked behind the scenes for you as you continue to move your feet. Because this is the thing, if you continue to step forward, He's not going to let you fall. But if you want to complain and stay in the same situation, you're going to keep going in a circle. They spent 40 years. They spent 40 years because they didn't see the big picture. They only saw what was currently in front of them, and it did not seem like it was great. But that's just assumptions. And because of that, they never saw the promised land. Like, I never want to get in a situation where I go through something and I don't receive the blessing. What's the purpose of going through it? Like, if I'm sick, I want to feel healthy. Like, I don't want to just be sick forever. I don't want to complain about being sick forever. I want to receive the blessings of being healthy. Like, I want to receive the promotion. I won't get the promotion because if I'm always complaining about my current situation. You're just there for a moment. It has come to pass, not come to stay. So a year from now, you're going to look back. If you keep moving forward, if you stop complaining, if you work while you're waiting on your blessing, you're going to laugh at how you felt the year prior. I'm a firm believer that your life can change in 12 months. Mine changed in 12 months. I've seen a lot of people's lives change in 12 months because they decide to keep working. They decide to keep moving forward. You wait on the Lord. You wait for your blessing, but you work while you do it. Like, you can't be stagnant. That's where complaining comes from. When you feel like you're not getting enough, or you feel like it's not fair, you feel like it should be better, do something about it. That's simple. Do something about it. Grab the bull by his horns. Go out and make your way. It's not hard. You have to make the decision. You have to control it. You have the power to do so. You can, if you can complain, then you can make something happen. It's the same amount of effort. We just would rather sit down, misery loves company, and we sit in the break room and we talk about how bad our job is. Imagine that. Imagine if you was a supervisor walking in on the people that work for you complaining about their current job that they're working at, that they're on break on. That makes no sense. Perspective. Perspective is important. You don't like it, you think they're mistreating you, quit. But most of us won't do that. Why? Because complaining is a state of mind. We just do it as a hobby because everybody else is doing it. So we just complain with them. Yeah, they doing this to me too. Yeah, and then you get up and then you go back to work. That's insanity. That's crazy. I'm not gonna complain about something and then go back to doing it. That will create depression because you're doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. You will drive yourself nuts. Quit. Make something happen. Don't quit and still make something happen. Again, you can be working on your job and working on yourself. You can. It's 24 hours in a day. You sleep too much to say that you dislike your life. Get up early. Make something happen. That's it. If they don't like you, do something to make them love you. Be so great at what you do that They need you. Like I always looked at this when I worked in as a high school teacher, as in any profession. When I worked overnight in hotels, I want to be so good that if I miss a day of work, they can't manage. That they that's just me. I work so hard. I'm in a building so much that if I miss a day, everybody's wondering what's going on. Not that, you know, but it's something I look forward to. I want to be the best. And when you're the best, nobody wants the second best. They want the best. Be so good they cannot deny you. Become undeniable. Like if you number one at something and everybody can afford it, right? They'll want it. They're not gonna take number two. There's a reason number two is number two. If you was better, you'd be number one. And so that's how I attack everything. Like, do I still complain sometimes? Yes, it's human nature. I have those moments. But then I have to realize that my current situation is not my future situation. It's not my future. It's not what's possible. Like it can all improve. It will improve. But it starts with me. If you feel like you're not getting enough, figure it out. Make plans, write it down. You have to create your way. Your supervisor doesn't do that for you because they don't care. That's how you gotta look at it. There's nothing against them. They have their own problems. Everybody in the world is dealing with something that you don't know anything about. So what you think they should stop so they can handle your problems? No, handle them yourself. Learn to take life in your own hands. It's your life. It's your views. Is your promises. Is your goals. Is yours. It belongs to you. No one else will ever see it the way you see it. They'll call you crazy until you succeed, and then they'll call you a genius. That's simple. Again, I'll say that for you. They'll call you crazy, insane, until it works. And then you're a genius. Then you're a creative. Then you're a guru. Because they really want to do it, but you did it. And now they want to know how you do it. That's how you stay on top. You continue to create opportunities instead of complaining. Create opportunities. Don't complain. Complaining only gets you in the same spot. And you will be complaining about why you complain. Like, make your way. You can do it. You have everything in you. You were created for intended purpose. Our problem is when it doesn't work our way, we don't work. We complain. Stop that. That's me. From me to you, I love you to death. Stop complaining. You're not fixing anything. You're only hurting yourself mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally because you're in a rut. Again, I will say it. It has not come to stay. It has come to pass. It will pass over. The storm will pass over. Where will you be when the storm is over? If you're complaining, you'll be in the same spot when the next storm comes. You won't have a fortified living situation prepared. You won't have the raincoat. You won't be prepared for the next storm. The next storm, you'll get wet. And then the next storm, you'll get wet. Eventually, you'll drown because you're not moving your feet. Do something about your current situation. You don't like it? Get up early. Work on some other things. Build some things. Create some things. Put your mind in a different space that it doesn't bother you or worry you. That's what it is. That's where complaining comes from. Nothing's ever good enough. Well, make something better. You control it. I'm giving the power to you. That's what this is all about. Empowering you. Empowering who you are. Empowering your gifts. Enlightening you. Because you have everything you need to succeed within you. It's not on the outside of you. It's inside you. You just got to wake it up. If it's important to you. Or maybe you just like complaining. Maybe you just like being stuck in a rut. Maybe you just like working for people. Fulfilling their dreams. That ain't me. I ain't into all that. I'm not here to make your life happier while mine is not. At some point, I have to create something for myself because I have to leave a legacy for my children, for my family, for my lineage, everything. Like we have to create paths that others will follow, not following someone else's path. Like you create opportunities and others see it, and then they can see that it can happen. The things you're going through that you're complaining about, and the people you're complaining to, they're going through similar situations, and you can help them. But when you complain with them and y'all and misery loves company, you're hurting each other. There's no growth happening. It's that everyone's stagnant. You're staying in the same spot. Growth has to happen. The tree has to grow. The branch has to flow. The leaves have to sprout. It has to. The world needs that oxygen. So plant more seeds. Grow more trees. These are thoughts that you need to have. Everything that you do is a seed. And when you plant it, it's gonna sprout. It's gonna grow. Branches are gonna grow and it's gonna come to life. All your ideas, all your thoughts. So you can't sit around complaining because you're wasting time. Time is the only thing that we have equally. You have 24 hours. What are you doing with it? Whatever you do with your 24 hours, that's your life. That's the truth. If you do nothing with your 24 hours, you're doing nothing in life. Maximize your time. Redeem your time. How do you redeem time? Wake up earlier than normal. If you wake up at 8 o'clock for 10 years, you redeem that time by waking up at 6 o'clock. You gotta catch up. You still have time. Might be minimal. I don't know. I don't know how much time. I don't know what that hourglass look like for your life. But you still have time right now. If you woke up today, you have time today. Today, there's nothing more important than the present time. You can make a difference today. You can change your life today. Start by stop sitting around with other people and creating miserable moments. That's the truth. It's not doing you any good. It's not helping you mentally. It's not growing you mentally. Like you're stagnant. And you got to stop that. I said it before. I'll say it again. Like you're loved. You matter, but you got to start mattering to yourself too. Your words have power. Stop speaking pain into your life because of your current situation. I remember I always want to give a story, right, about my life, about certain situation. When I complained, um, I dropped out of UNO in 2007, 2006. Not because I failed out. I just didn't want to go to UNO anymore. Went into the culinary field, working at the Ritz-Carlton, working at a couple of restaurants, landries, and I was making good money. I was making like maybe $19-20 an hour at about 18, 19 years old. Um, but it didn't do anything for me. The money was nice. I was living good. I had really no issues, but something inside me just wasn't right. It wasn't acceptable to me. I didn't love it. It wasn't passionate to me. I actually hated it. I did. And I was miserable making all that money. Think about that. And I was making more than most people in my family at a very young age. And I just hated it though. I hated how they talked to me. I hated how they made me felt. I hated going to work. I hated getting up, putting on a uniform. I hated looking at the uniform. But I was making good money. And so I tricked myself into this is what I should do. The thing with me is I work so much, so I don't even get to spend the money. So that made it even worse. Like I would go in on my day off because like that's who I am. And I remember having a conversation with my grandmother who was my pastor. And, she just told me about complaining and how it's not helping you and murmuring. And she told me the story about the children of Israel and Moses and how it affected them. And She just said, you know what, you gotta take a leap. If it's bothering you that much, you gotta take a leap. It's not gonna be comfortable, but neither is you sitting here complaining. That's uncomfortable also. So what are you gonna do about it? And I remember applying to Southeastern to pursue my career in college athletics. And when I applied, they denied me. And I called her and she said, is there any other opportunities? Is there any other way? Is this it? Are you quitting? Are you giving up? And I said, no, I just don't see a way. She said, just research. And I found, I think they had I think it was called the alternative application, where you fill out and you describe why you should be accepted into Southeastern Louisiana. The reason I wasn't accepted was Katrina hit, and I had to graduate in Florida, and they didn't have the same curriculum, and so it wasn't really my fault. But coupled with the fact of me leaving UNO and all that, Southeastern just didn't think it was beneficial. So I emailed them, talked to them, um, and I believe at the time Randy Moffett was the president. He was leaving out, and someone else was coming in, and that was his last year. And I went before the committee, and they approved me. They approved me to get in school. What was the difference in me being approved initially and being approved in an alternative way? I have no idea. But it was stipulations. I had to maintain a certain GPA 3.0 this to stay in the school. And so it was a challenge. But it was a challenge that, again, if you want to complain and God gives you an out, you do it. Or just stay where you at. Don't talk about it. Be about it. I went to Southeastern I quit culinary arts. Went to Southeastern in 2008, and never. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I never dipped under 3.0 GPA any semester because it meant something to me. Not saying I was perfect. I did what I had to do. But I never wanted to be a failure. I never wanted to ask God for something and then don't do my part. Because He's gonna do His part. If you ask Him, you will receive it. But can you handle it? They told me, on the way you can stay in school is you have to maintain over a 3.0 GPA. Simple. Okay, this is what I want. I got to maintain a 3.0 GPA. Graduated in 2012. As we all, I work in college athletics, but that goes back for at least a year. I complained about my current situation. But I was making good money and I didn't want to move out of that. And so that's what we all do. We complain, but we stay in it. Like, you're already in pain. You're already dealing with what you're dealing with. Move on. Like, don't cry in the moment, right? Like, you're already dealing with it. Like, do something about it. Don't quit. Don't stay in it, right? If you choose to stay in it, stop complaining about it. You choosing to stay. It's your choice. You made the choice to stay. Either you move on or you just shut up. But at the end, make sure no matter what's going on in your situation, the people that you feel like are wronging you or you're complaining about, make sure if you decide to leave, they remember you. And it's an unforgettable moment. Like, I ain't talking about fighting, I ain't talking about cussing, I'm not talking about yelling and creating controversies. No, bust your ass. To the fact that they beg you not to leave. They won't appreciate you until someone else appreciates you. That's fine. That's a part of life. It is what it is. Walk away and don't look back. You'll love yourself for it. You'll grow from it. You'll achieve greatness because it's in your past. It's no longer there. And that's my words to you. Stop complaining. Do something about it. You become your best version of you when you keep moving your feet. Does life suck? Yes. It sucks worse for other people than you think for yourself. You're just living in your current moment. It's not your future. Keep moving your feet. Keep moving forward. Keep pressing toward the mark. You're loved. You're appreciated. I love you. Keep doing your thing. We need you. And until next time, y'all be blessed.